This week on Red, White, and Bluegrass, bills, bills, bills. After a flurry of newly filed proposals, we're spotlighting a pitch to reform gubernatorial pardons, another to bring camera enforcement to intersections, and lowering the age for a learner's permit. It's all ahead on Red, White, and Bluegrass.
From Fox 56 News, with Bodie Brooks, this is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
Happy Sunday morning, everyone. I'm Bodie Brooks, and thanks for joining us on Red, White, and Bluegrass. Session is on a break, but more than 200 bills are filed and waiting for review. This morning, we get a look at some of the spirited but respectful debate that may take shape around a handful of these proposals. We are happy to welcome a new guest and new lawmaker to our show this morning. Democrat Ann Donworth was elected in November to represent House District 76, which covers part of Fayette County. Good morning and welcome to the program. We also welcome back Republican Representative Josh Bray. He has represented District 71, which includes Rockcastle and parts of Madison, Laurel, and Pulaski counties since 2021. We appreciate you both being here and look forward to our discussion this morning. Our roadmap of the Red, White, and Bluegrass this week follows the scenic route. As lawmakers are in a 3-week break from Frankfort, it leaves us time to take a closer look at some of the bills filed so far. Today, we'll discuss another attempt to limit the governor's pardon power. We'll also talk about a couple of bills involving cameras and civil fines, and also review a bill to lower the age when Kentucky drivers could get their instructional permit. So we start with a proposed constitutional amendment. Kentucky's governor has virtually unlimited pardon powers that includes up to the final moments in office. It's never sat right with Kenton County Senator Chris McDaniel, who's filed another bill this year to create a constitutional amendment building in a period of 1 month before Election Day up to the next inauguration, where the governor could not issue pardons.
It's 60 days out of every 4 years that power would be suspended. It is obviously a constitutional amendment that would have to go in front of the voters. And the general thought is that it would prevent pardons on the way out the door when a governor had no recourse for their actions to the general public.
Now, if this is passed by the General Assembly, it would be on the ballot for voters to decide in 2026. So go ahead to start the conversation. I want to start with you, Representative Bray, here. First, I want to get your general opinion about the pardon power itself. What's your thought there and how it should be distributed?
Well, constitutionally, the governor has the power to pardon, and that's baked into just the very fiber of government and the Constitution. Senator McDaniel's filed this bill as long as I've been in Frankfort. Matter of fact, I think he started filing it in 2019 after Governor Bevin made some pardons as he exited office. And then as we kind of see what's going on nationally and a lot of what Congressman Comer's uncovered, and then President Biden's pardons as he's making them as we speak, and what he's done already, I mean, it does raise a good question. Should our executive branch have some sort of accountability for the pardons they make?
Representative Donworth, same question. What are your thoughts on the pardon power?
I think it's a hard one because there's a reason that it was granted in the first place. We know that there are problems within our judicial system, accidentally for the most part. But it is something that our founders put into the executive privilege for a reason, to be able to undo a wrong. That said, there are a whole lot of pardons. I don't imagine that our founding fathers ever imagined that there would be 600 some odd pardons in the state of Kentucky. So where the line is, I'm not sure. I think for this particular bill, I don't imagine that it will be terribly successful because Kentucky doesn't like to amend our Constitution, as we've seen the last few years.
This measure has at least been able to get through the Senate before. If it ends up making it to your chamber and you're all able to have a debate on it, what are some questions that y'all would have with this proposal?
I would want to make sure that it's truly a bipartisan bill. When we're talking about limiting executive privilege, when we have a supermajority on one side right now, being the legislative body and a Democrat in the executive mansion, I hope that people will be mindful that could shift, and we need to be comfortable with the law as it's written and the constitutional amendment as it's written, regardless of the power balance.
Representative Bray?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a bipartisan effort because it's been a bipartisan issue. I mean, this was, like I said, this was first posed after a Republican governor left because some of my constituents weren't real happy with some of those pardons, and obviously some of Senator McDaniel's as well. I think it's a fair balance. You know, it still maintains the executive branch's ability to exercise their constitutional ability to pardon. It just puts in a time frame so that somebody can't just make some bold move and then walk out the door and never have to answer another question about it. So I do think it strikes a fair balance.
Whenever I did a little bit of research on this bill, I mean, the pardon power between states, it's unique, you know, between each individual state. But there are a number of states that employ whether there be an entirely independent board that decides these, or the governor has to consult a board. Separate from this particular piece of legislation, have y'all given any consideration to possibly pursuing something like that, or would y'all be open to something like that?
I've not looked into that issue. You know, ultimately I think it needs the power to pardon needs to lie with the executive authority. Whether we put some restrictions or guardrails on that, I could support that. But as far as farming out that ability or that the ability to pardon, I don't know that I could support that.
What are your thoughts, Representative Donworth?
To be honest, I'm not sure yet. And I think a lot of it, so much of this has to do with what specific language would be included.
Yeah, it certainly would be something you'd have to do some soul searching on if it was something that came up to you. We got about a minute left here. As you mentioned, this was originally filed in response to the pardons that Governor Bevin had made, and we've had 5 years since those pardons happened. Do you think it's still necessary to bring something like this so many years later, or do you think the tensions have died since then?
Well, the tensions within the state may have died since then, but you know, nationally, this is a topic that's very front of mind. Just because, as President Biden is exiting the White House, we've already seen more pardons and commuting of sentences issued so far than any other president's done in the past, I believe. So it's something that's on a lot of people's minds. I know I've heard from a lot of constituents back home, you know, concerned about. You know, we know what we've seen so far, but what's left, because, you know, typically the worst pardons are yet to come.
And what I would say on that is it's on the other side too. Democrats primarily are very concerned about President-elect Trump's promise to pardon anyone who participated in the January 6th riots, and whether or not he should have the authority to be able to do that.
All right.
So,
Representative Donworth, you get the last word on that one. We'll have to put a pin in it there.